Before I begin today, there won't be a meeting, the no Zoom meeting next Thursday, or the Thursday after, or the Thursday after that. I'm away for a few weeks on some adventures. It's not that you're not enlightened. It's not that you're not awakened. It's not that you're not liberated. It's that you're not. It's not funny, and yet it is. It's the tragic comedy of human beings just wanting to be what they're not. So there's quite a lot of teachings about just be what you are. That can really make you scratch your head. But of course, how could you not be what you are? I've just looked at a few names of the participants on my gallery view here. It's amused me. There's Asheville Sadists. Great name. Masochists as well, no doubt. And Nonduality Slut. It sounded quite attractive. This isn't an answer. Because answers are required they're required for questions, problems, something that needs solving. So this isn't a solution. And in that way, this whole message can sound endlessly frustrating to the one who wants answers. It just can be obvious that life isn't asking any questions. That isn't to say life isn't problematic. Practical problems require practical solutions. But to existential questions, which is really, they're the questions that led you here, seemingly. It may be obvious that there's innumerable answers and none of them are really answers if there's no question. If this is unquestionably as it is, life is always appearing simply as it does. And that is without question. If questions become pointless, again, it isn't an answer. It isn't more understanding, greater understanding. It isn't more knowledge. It can just be obvious that all knowledge and understanding is relative and relatively useful or not. That's all. Let's pop its cough. If you'd like to say anything or share anything or ask a question, please do so. You're welcome. Lily's asked in the chat, what is everything if there are different seeings? Good question. I haven't got a clue. Really? I mean, what do I know of different seeings? What's known of different seeings? I have to infer different seeings, don't I? If I say something like there's all there is everything, and nothing. If I say all there is everything, I just mean whatever is appearing. That's all there ever is. Now, we can tell a story that there are 7 billion human beings, each with a different seeing, each with a different appearance. And so you could then tell a story of 7 billion everythings. It's not rational to say there's only everything. And everything is just what appears to an individual human being. On a rational level, it doesn't make sense. But then this message sort of doesn't give a shit about being logical. And I don't know why, but it doesn't matter. If that doesn't make sense logically. I'm not sure if that's what you meant. I think sometimes when I speak or when I have a sense of the peace that passes all understanding, that's kind of what I mean when I say that, in that it doesn't need to make sense anymore. It doesn't have to be rational or logical. There's just no more argument with what's appearing, just as it is. Oh yeah, Lily said, there's a trying to understand what is everything if we all have different appearances. I tried really hard. I mean, studying psychology and training as a psychotherapist, I tried really hard to understand how other people, other human beings thought, how it was for them, working on my empathy. Trying to be in someone else's reality. I guess that's one of the things you could say that really, without my reality, that kind of dies. The attempting to do that, the desire to know that. It's an impossibility, so and yet there can be even more interest than there used to be in listening to someone try to express that. That's beautiful. But trying to know it, being absolutely futile, that doesn't seem to come up. Certainly not like it used to. I mean, that's an endlessly futile job, trying to know the mind of another. It can sound, and it can feel like disinterest and not caring. It certainly can sound like that. And it is a great paradox that not caring what another's thinking, what's going on, the reality that another human being has, feels like love. Doesn't sound like love when you express it, but it can certainly feel like that.
Michael Markham says, do you think that thought can catch with itself?
I do like a game of catch, if that's what you mean, with a tennis ball or a cricket ball, if you're feeling brave. Thought can catch with it. I'm not sure what you mean, Michael. Thought can catch. I don't know.
Where is he? Well, David has his hand up.
Hello.
No show without punch. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Just fill in the gaps. I sometimes scribble things down that you say, or when I'm reading occasionally, just scribble it down, forget about it. And there was something I read today, apparently from you. No memory of it whatsoever.
You're going to quote me.
It sounds a bit good for you, actually. You might want to, I don't know, you might want to disown it.
What do you mean it sounds a bit good?
So one about the guy who goes into...
It sounds a bit clever.
I think it's extraordinary, actually. No, it definitely was you, of course.
Well, we'll be the judge of that.
Let's see if I've written it down properly. This Irishman goes into a bar. No, it's in order for this to be seen, there'd have to be something else.
Sounds like me.
Was that you?
Sounds like me.
Yeah.
I don't know, if I'm honest.
But you do agree with it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It sounds like the sort of thing I'd come out with.
I think I don't know, I just rocked my boat anyway, I can tell you. And at the time I wasn't actually, I don't even remember you saying that.
And I don't remember it saying it exactly.
And,
it sounds like the sort of thing I might say.
I think it's great, actually.
Well,
it's a bit of a conversation stopper, unfortunately. And I'm here to try and get a conversation going, but it just kills us.
Well, it's brilliant. It seems like I've got little to say today. You just stopped it even more. Say it again. Because you think it's good.
For this to be seen, or maybe in order for this to be seen, there would have to be something else.
Oh, yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It is very, very, very good.
Must have been me.
No, I absolutely love it. It's funny how, we say words are useless and all that kind of stuff, but some things shut you up, And that just shuts me up.
Oh, well, that's good.
It just feels right.
Yeah.
Whatever that is,
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thanks, David.
Mm.
What about, and for everyone else here, it's a first. David has quoted me as some old dead bastard.
You've arrived. You've arrived big time. You're up there with Bernard.
He's quoting me before I'm dead. Oh, dear.
Ah, dear. So anyway, that's
Oh,
it.
thanks, David. No,
Yeah.
that is, I like that. The simpler, the better. And that is a bit of a dead end.
Well, to me, it's reminiscent, and you're going to hate this, but there's more than a touch of that kind of Zen thing
I
about it.
don't mind. Today there's a touch of woo has sin, and I like it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I like to think I'm the Fenland, you know, Zen master.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I mean, absolutely squares with all that shit down the millennia, doesn't it? Really,
Does it really?
you know.
It does.
And
Yeah.
that one, it could survive.
You never know.
Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. You could be the next.
Yeah, 2,000 years time. That'll be number one. You know, people get those Zen calendars that you peel off each day. That's going to be on there.
It will be.
Interestingly, my
Yeah.
brother still, his daughter still gets him one of those every Christmas. She gets him a Zen calendar, you know, with a quote.
Mm.
I'm not on there yet, but you know.
Well, I want 10% off the top, just for reminding you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thanks.
So Michael was saying, do you think that thought can catch up with itself?
Oh, I would guess not. No, because there isn't. No, because thought isn't a thing, is it? To catch up with its no. It's just a seemingly another thought, but yeah, not with no. I can't imagine that happening. Catch up with itself. I don't think it could be faster, because if you think about catch up with yourself, Michael, you'd have to, you know, it's how fast would you have to be? God. Now, I used to be quite quick. I could run a bit. And but now, I mean, catch up with itself in old age? I don't think so. No chance. I don't know if neuroscientists have measured how long a thought is, you know, like fancy a cup of coffee. I mean, a thought is not as long as I fancy a cup of coffee, is it? It comes just as a coffee thought. And I'm not sure how long that is. Nanoseconds, I guess. And then you've got to try and catch that up. Yeah. You're talking superhero status, aren't you, if you could catch that up? Speedy Gonzales or Superman. Or who else was quick? Speedy Gonzales was quicker. I think he was quicker than Superman. Sort of thing my 7-year-old boy says, who do you think would win a race? I don't know if you know 7-year-old boys, but they're prone to, you know, who would win out of a killer whale and a tiger. Well, where's it? Where it depends where it is. Is it in the sea? Or is it on the prairie? I don't, just, you know, location's important in those sort of, who's the fastest, Speedy Gonzales or Superman or the Flash? Because 7-year-old boys are obsessed with strongest, fastest, highest, biggest. I'm being sexist, but he's always asking, so who do you think would win? So if you had a fight with Tony, my brother, who would win? I went, well, I always win. You know that. I could. He went, yeah, you could.
So Kuka, in chat, Kuka says, could you talk about the fluctuations like between neuroses and then she leaves the space. So I'm guessing she's talking about that meing and being, is it? Fluctuations between neuroses and nothing? Can you see that?
Yeah, fluctuations. Well, I'm kind of loath to talk about those kind of things, but I always am if we talk about storytelling, you know, that you can go from seeming absence and just peace and emptiness and everything being okay, even if it's not okay, to full-blown worry, anxiety, neuroses, what we'd call normal human behavior. But I think everyone does that anyway. I just think it's absolutely natural. So what you call fluctuations, you might as well call life. I am not speaking of some constant state in any sense. The only thing that's constant is nothing. And there's nothing to be known about nothing. There's nothing to see about nothing. There's nothing to feel about nothing. It's nothing. So the things, the happenings, you can say fluctuation is how life appears. But it does seem common in stories, seeker stories of there seeming to be less neuroses, then neuroses can come back with a vengeance. Well, if you've been ignoring neuroses, then it's not surprising if they come back and go, look, you've been ignoring me. I don't like being ignored, so I'm now going to give you shit for a while. But they don't mean anything.
Is it Royan or Rohin? You have has a hand up?
Roshan.
Roshan.
Hi, Rojan.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. So there was a lot of like, I would call it like psychosis almost.
Right.
Because it was like, okay, so in the story I got cheated on and a lot of psychosis happened like when that happened. And it felt so separate. I felt separate from him. It felt like I was like he's a separate being that has done something to me and that I like went crazy about. And like there's no filter anymore, so it's like it was just pure craziness. Like I don't know. So I just want to know, like, I don't know. Like separation.
Sorry, Rojan. Rojan, what are you asking me?
Feeling separate. Like like can you talk about feeling separate? I don't know, and how that works.
Oh, you know perfectly well how it works, Rojan.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. Yeah.
It's fucking horrible.
Exactly. I was going to say, you don't need me to tell you anything about that.
Yeah.
It's horrible, yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredibly painful. Because in the separation, you've only got, self really only has two choices when something really painful happens, which inevitably, life is inevitably painful for a human being. Of course it is. But
Yeah.
in the separation, I've only got two choices. It's either my fault or it's his fault. And usually I'll go down the middle, so I'll do both. So he's a complete bastard and I'm an absolute arsehole because it was probably equally my fault as well for this pain, which really is just love, you know. I don't think anyone needs anyone else to tell them about that.
Yeah, it's very like clear.
But if you ask for solutions to it, I mean, that's the problem. You know, you really self wants a solution. And and this is one of the very few places you could ever be where someone will openly say that the solution is that there isn't a solution. And that's the best on offer. You know, not an answer, not making it better. Because there isn't any better or worse. It is just as it is. But this message hasn't got anything to say about making life better.
Yeah, it's very clear.
Which I mean that alone is, I mean, it's surprising that anyone would speak about it.
Yeah, I just read your quotes and they make me feel better though. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. But this kind of, what we're really speaking about is the impossibility of escaping this being human, this wonderful, dreadful, painful, being alive. And so virtually everything you've tried in some way or another is a distraction, an avoidance, in some way moving away from what is to something fantasized to be better, imagined to be better. And there is nowhere to move to, and there is no one to move.
Michael says, can you comment on this? In its search for meaning, the objectifying brain is confined to using the very mechanism out of which the idea of meaning emerges. In its search for meaning, the objectifying brain is confined to using the very mechanism out of which the idea of meaning emerges.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, probably. Thing is, I don't know what the hell happened here, because I would have been interested in, you know, discussing such, because that's like analyzing how, you know what I'm like with the brain, Michael. Don't get on the brain talk, because I can't engage with it, because there's nothing. It's like, if it is brain doing all this, which it probably is, you know, scientifically, whatever happened here, there's no interest in that at all anymore. And I'm not interested in any explanation for that. But I will agree, I completely agree that what we're talking about is nothing to do with thought. It's not to do, you know, what thought is usually trying to do is think its way out. What I am trying to do, I try to think my way out of where I am. So I say I'm here, in this situation, in this predicament, and I will think my way out of it. Really, what is neurosis but trying to think your way out of it? Trying to control what's happening in order to feel better. Really, what I want to say, what really wants to be said, is that feelings, there's nothing wrong with feelings. And all the neuroses come from the fear of feelings. These feelings will kill me. I won't survive. If I feel all of this pain and sorrow, if I feel it all, it will destroy me. And so rather than feel it, I then think my way out of it. Neurotic thoughts, paranoid thoughts. Anxious thoughts. Constant worry. It's a self-defense mechanism. Worry, that's what worry is. If I worry about it, I'm doing something about it. And in that way, there's more chance that I keep myself safe.
Michael has his hand up. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael. You have to
unmute. Muted. Oh, sorry, Tim.
That's right. Thanks.
Are you the same phenomenon as thought? Are you separate from the thought?
No.
No. So if you are the thought, how can you even be aware of thought?
No. You can't be aware of thought. That's just another thought, isn't it?
So the only thing, wait a minute, I'm lost here. Referring back to the brain, the only thing the brain can be aware of is this thought stream that is synonymous with this sense of personal identity. There is awareness of thought, thinking. So the entity that is aware of that, and the thinking is synonymous with the sense of self, I would see that as has to be the cells in the frontal cortex. But again, I'm probably applying a logic, objectified logic to an area that does not.
And I wouldn't, if I was trying to rationalize it scientifically, then. But, I'm so ignorant of cerebral biology, anatomy, and, I'm not a neuroscientist. I wouldn't even begin to try and rationalize. Leave that to an expert who wants to know. For me, it doesn't have any, there's no, in speaking about what we're speaking about, it doesn't have any significance. It doesn't feel like that anymore.
They refer to the neural correlates of consciousness, which is, again, viewing the world through an objectified perspective, which in itself is a tremendously limited and self-referential mechanism. So here it feels like any question that arises within the dream is part of the dream, for lack of a better word. This idea of separation, this objectified perspective. I think by definition we are lost. not lost, that's just another concept, but it's a closed loop. We cannot get out of it with thought.
No.
Thought
Well,
creates.
I mean, we speak about it slightly differently, me and you, but I mean, the thing that I really want to always emphasize is that there's no escape. And it is the impossibility of escape, when there's no one to escape, that is the freedom. So the impossibility of escape is actually the liberation. That's how it feels.
A collapsing into the limitation of objectification.
Yeah, but I don't.
And seeing it as the window through which the universe gets a peek of its own beauty, its own shimmering,
Well, it's
exquisiteness.
Yeah. Well, how beautiful that I mean, it could well be that there's only human beings have any sense of beauty at all. I mean, there's a really good chance that's the case. But again, you don't need to know that for beauty to be apparent. It's bloody obvious.
Oh, is it? Only to the objectifying mind.
That's what I mean. But but there aren't any human beings who don't have an objectifying mind, are there? Or maybe there are, or maybe there really are enlightened human beings, and I've been disrespecting them completely falsely all this time, when by saying there is no enlightenment, but actually there are human beings who have lost all the ability to objectify, and yeah, we can call those the enlightened ones. Maybe.
I wonder about autistic children, and if we were to embrace their world and try to not bring them into ours. The idea of beauty exists only in imaginary separation. And that's the thing that people struggle against. They're trying to get back to what they think of as oneness. And all the time, the beauty is in imaginary separation.
Yeah.
It's really quite lovely. I think it's the worst and the best life has to offer. The pain that was offered this morning is gut-wrenching. The mind will just run scenarios until it collapses. I think we've all been there. Jealousy it takes a long time to find a mate, and to have that changed or is terrible. Life can be terrible as a human being. I think that's where compassion comes from, is after we've been ripped apart quite a few times, we see compassion. We feel compassion for other human beings. We know what it feels like to lose a son or a daughter, a loved one. That love and compassion, this thing that's so human, the rawness of being human, and the terribleness of it is so incredibly delightful and so incredibly temporary. My hair is white now, and I can hear the curtains closing. I spent time with my 4 grandchildren yesterday, and I was in heaven.
Yeah.
Literally in heaven. I watch your little boys and those bright eyes. They're just exquisite. The thrilling adventure that you are going to be in the next 40, 50, 60 years when they have children and you wrestle on the floor with them.
Well, I'm not going to be it. Yeah, It's very optimistic. I appreciate it, Michael. I'm not going to be in it for that long.
Ah, yes.
But yeah, lovely stories.
Truly lovely stories. That's what we are. Stories all the way down.
Yeah.
You look at each other, and I look at the faces here, and I look at the beauty, and I think Walt Whitman said, I love the younger women and I love the older women more. I know what he means now. The beauty, the tear tracks, and the life experience. I see older women when they're teenagers and young women dancing and flirting and all the stuff life is. I know it's just so great. I'm taking up too much time. I will just listen. Thank you, Tim.
Oh no, thanks, Michael.
David has his hand up.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not muted anyway. Yeah, this seems a bit irrelevant now. I'm sorry. It was something. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something that might have slotted in earlier on, but it's kind of lowering the tone a bit after Michael's contribution, which I apologize for, because it's a bit esoteric, you know.
It's all right.
Ah, well. So this guy goes into a bar. So it's this business of awareness, which we were talking about just a wee while back, if you remember. I mean, it is, you can kick that stuff around forever and you get absolutely nowhere, of course. I tried this one on you before and you kind of rubbished it, which is fine, as you do. And it probably deserved it, actually. But it makes sense to me in the context of what we were talking about. This business of awareness being this kind of rock solid foundation, and that's what you are, blah, 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 which an awful lot of these things are based on. And, you get a bit of comfort out of that for a wee while, perhaps. But I tried this and you weren't buying it, but maybe, with respect, maybe you didn't think about it. But when Nisargadatta said...
Are you asking me to think about
it? Reconsider, please. When Nisargadatta said, I think it was before he died, actually, awareness arises. I think what he meant by that was it's just like any other thought. It comes and goes. To think of it about it as this kind of wall of pure something. No, it comes and goes. There's nobody. Now, to me, that makes a lot of sense, and definitely in the context of what we were talking about maybe 5 minutes ago. And it's perplexing, but it's more believable somehow, in a mad way, rather than I am pure awareness. No, you're not. There are times when you're aware because it has arisen, like the thoughts. Does that make any kind of sense? Rather than ring fencing it as this.
I like it a lot better than the other. I like it a lot better than the constant pure awareness, by which I'm not having any of them.
Awareness arises, just those two words. And that blew me away a bit, actually, to be honest. I thought, wow.
Of course, you're not aware of it, are you?
One isn't, you mean?
Well, there's no awareness of awareness, is there?
Well, I mean, you hear people banging on about it.
That's the rabbit hole, isn't it?
It is, yeah, once you're down there, it's infinite regret. Infinite regress.
There, are you?
Yes, infinite regress, I think.
Starting to spiral then.
I quite like the notion of this awareness thing. It arises with, or Yuji's thing about, the person who's watching, that's what's watching conditioned thought, is conditioned. It comes and goes, for God's sake. What more do you want, to point to the fact that, nothing is real, really, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
That's when I'm lowering the tone.
It all comes and goes.
Pure esoteric drivel, actually.
I'm going to let you have it today, David.
Okay, I'll take that. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, dear.
Hey, Tim.
Hi.
It's Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. I really want to thank you for two things you said today that I wrote down. And I don't usually write things down, but these really got me. So one is that worry or anxiety is a self-defense mechanism. That if I'm worrying, then I'm doing something.
Yeah.
I mean, that was so perfect for me to hear today. And I just had to repeat it back for anybody else who needed to hear it, because I've really suffered from anxiety.
Yeah.
And I never, ever, ever thought of it as a self-defense, that it's protecting me.
Yeah.
You know, it believes it's protecting me, with the idea that I'm doing something if I'm worrying about it. That's profound for me. The other one is when you said that the fact that there's no escape is the liberation or the freedom, because there's no one to escape. And that's amazing to me today, because recently I was listening to somebody else, another one of these young ones that seemed to, you know, break free or fall away or whatever. And he was expressing that he had this desire his whole life for the truth, to just know the truth, and that this drove his seeking. Well, I had to get really honest with myself and say, I used to think I had that too, but the truth is, I just always wanted to escape the suffering.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between wanting to escape suffering and seeking truth. Well, there's a big difference for a half a second. And then I realized there's not a difference. You know, this whole idea of seeking truth was a sort of a mental thing I did to myself for a long time. Like, if I only knew the truth. But if I finish that sentence, it's that if I only knew the truth, I would stop suffering.
Then you'd be okay.
Yes, and then I'd be okay.
Yeah.
So somehow you plucked both these gems out of here today, and I really needed to hear them. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, thanks, Karen.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope
Thank you.
it served somebody else. You're welcome.
So just to repeat what I said at the beginning, I won't have a meeting next week because I'm off to Copenhagen. There are still a few places for Copenhagen if you've just been thinking, oh, I could just do with a weekend away of, you know, mindless bullshit and a bit of drinking. And good food, probably. Have I sold it to you? There's some places for Copenhagen, so if you'd like to come. And then if you look on my website, I put it on Facebook as well. I've booked the dates and a venue for Asheville in October 23rd, I think. If you go to my website, then the details are on there. And I'm hoping to have a meeting each month in Hampstead, but I've got to wait until a week and a bit before I can book any dates for that. So they'll be up on the website when they're booked. Thanks very much for coming, everybody. Thanks for everyone who participated today. That was lovely. Yeah, if I don't see you, I'll see you at the next Zoom. If you'd still like to be on there's been a bit of a problem with the email list of invites. Some people have not been receiving them, even though they're on the email list. If that is you, email again, and I'll try and amend it and make sure that you get the invitations.
Michael wants to say something.
Michael.
On the meeting in Copenhagen or your other meetings,
Yeah.
is there a way to pay for those and attend the meeting via the internet?
I've not intended to do that. No, I haven't. I may do. I haven't done that for Copenhagen. There is a possibility I could do that. Maybe I'll do that try that out, because I haven't done that yet for a
Oh.
live meeting with Zoom at the same time. But maybe I'll try that in when I come to America in Asheville.
Okay.
Perhaps try it there. The Copenhagen talks are all being recorded. They'll be up on YouTube.
Excellent.
Because Annette, who's the host there, she did a great job last year. They're the only professional videos of me that are on YouTube. You may have noticed the difference in quality of sound, the whole thing really, and picture. So Annette said she's going to video all those. Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Lovely to
Thank
see you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Darren,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
Tim.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, Darren.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy
See you all.
travels. Bye.
Bye.